They say love is blind. But what they don't say is that sometimes, love isn't blind, it's simply wearing borrowed lenses. Lenses that were handed to us by past trauma, loneliness, unmet expectations, or even culture's lies about what love should look like. For Naomi, love didn't come crashing in. It came quietly. Almost too quietly. She didn't fall in love overnight. She drifted into it, like standing on a shore and slowly walking into the ocean, only to look back and realize she could no longer touch the ground. And it all started with a man named David. Naomi had just come out of a long season of stillness, 2 years of healing after a broken engagement. It wasn't a dramatic breakup. No betrayal. No fights. Just a slow realization that the man she once loved wasn't growing with her. She chose peace over promises. And she chose solitude over settling. During that season, Naomi pressed into God like never before. She journaled, prayed, fasted, and learned to love her own company. She rebuilt her confidence. Her smile returned. And for the first time in years, she felt whole. So when David entered the picture, he didn't meet a broken woman. He met a woman whole and ready. David was charming but not in an overwhelming way. He was polite, thoughtful, respectful. He knew scripture. He served at his church. He had a steady job and spoke with clarity about his future. To Naomi, he was the full package. Finally, a man who matched her values. They met through a mutual friend at a singles gathering hosted by a local church. David was one of the speakers. Naomi wasn't looking, but she couldn't ignore his presence. He noticed her too, and after the event, he approached her. "I don't normally do this," he said with a calm confidence. "But I felt a pull to come speak with you. You carry peace. That's rare." Naomi smiled, cautious but curious. She had heard lines before. But something about his tone felt sincere. He asked for her number respectfully. He waited 3 days before texting her. And when he finally did, it wasn't just small talk. He asked deep questions. What does peace mean to you? What's your purpose in this season? How has God been shaping you? Naomi was impressed. Here was a man who seemed emotionally mature and spiritually grounded. But sometimes, what seems godly isn't always from God. 3 weeks in, David told her something that should have been a red flag. "I believe God told me you're my wife," he said. She paused. Naomi had learned through past mistakes that hearing "God told me" early in a relationship could be manipulative if not handled with humility. But David didn't force it. He added, "I'm still praying about it. I just want to be transparent." It sounded spiritual. It sounded good. So Naomi kept going. The first few months were a dream. Daily prayers. Late-night talks. Deep emotional vulnerability. They went to Bible study together. He told her how much he respected her intelligence, admired her devotion to God, and wanted to build a kingdom relationship. And Naomi slowly let her guard down, but red flags don't always scream. Sometimes they whisper. It was a group dinner that changed everything. They were seated among friends, laughing, eating, discussing life. Naomi offered an insight about identity and faith that stirred the table. Several guests nodded in agreement. One even said, "Naomi, you should write a book." Before she could respond, David chuckled and said with a grin, "She talks a lot, but she's still learning." The table laughed politely. Naomi smiled, but inside, something twisted. It wasn't the words. It was the tone. It felt dismissive, like her voice was being managed. She shrugged it off. He was joking, she told herself. But it didn't stop there. In the weeks that followed, little comments crept into their conversations. "You're always analyzing everything. Maybe you should let the man lead. You're too emotional to make decisions right now. I love you, but you challenge everything." Each line came with a smile. Or a kiss on the forehead. Or a whispered, "You're overthinking." Naomi began second-guessing herself. Was she being sensitive? Was this just how men lead? Was she too opinionated? Too bold? She started shrinking. Not physically, but emotionally. She shared fewer thoughts, laughed a little quieter, asked fewer questions, and most dangerously, she prayed less. It wasn't that she stopped believing, but David's spiritual presence was so strong, so vocal, that she felt her connection to God fading into the background. His voice became louder than the still, small voice she had trusted for so long. The worst part? David wasn't abusive. He never yelled, never cursed, never laid a hand on her, but there's a kind of emotional erosion that's harder to see than bruises, and more damaging. She felt it fully the night they argued over something simple, her taking a ministry opportunity without asking him first. "I thought we were building together," he said sternly. "Why would you make a big decision without my covering?" Naomi blinked. It wasn't about the opportunity. It was about control masked as protection. "I didn't think I needed permission," she replied softly. "You don't. But a wise woman submits," he said. And that was it. The phrase echoed in her chest, not because submission is wrong, but because in this context, it was wielded like a weapon. She left his house that night feeling small, ashamed, confused. When she got home, she cried. But not because of heartbreak. She cried because she realized she had slowly abandoned the most sacred part of herself, her discernment. She remembered the version of herself 2 years ago, the woman who danced freely, spoke boldly, prayed deeply, and discerned quickly. That woman would have heard that first inner comment and walked away. But this Naomi had been trained to question herself, so she did what she hadn't done in weeks. She knelt beside her bed and whispered, "God, show me truth. No more signs. No more confirmations. Just truth." And the stillness spoke. Not with thunder. Not with rebuke. But with a holy clarity. "You asked me for a man who loves me. But you forgot to ask if he loves you like I do." Naomi wept. That was the red flag. David looked godly. He sounded spiritual. But his love wasn't safe. It was conditional. Shrinking. Prideful. He didn't nurture her growth. He needed her to be smaller so he could feel bigger. The next morning, she met with David. Calmly, respectfully, and without bitterness, she said, "I don't believe God called me into a relationship where I lose myself to keep the peace. I've honored you, trusted you, and prayed with you. But this relationship no longer reflects the heart of God." David was shocked. He accused her of immaturity. He said she was walking away from what God had ordained. But Naomi had already heard from God. And once you hear truth, you can't unhear it. She walked away, not from David but toward herself. The journey that followed wasn't easy. There were nights she missed him. Nights she questioned her decision. Nights she replayed every conversation. But in time, she healed. Her voice came back. Her joy returned. She prayed with boldness again. She led women's Bible studies and shared her story with young women, many of whom were stuck in similar patterns. Naomi's greatest red flag had nearly ruined her forever, but it didn't. Because God rescued her from it. He opened her eyes. He loved her back to life. And he reminded her of a powerful truth. When I send you love, it won't silence your voice, it will amplify it. So to the woman watching this, if your spirit is restless, if your light has dimmed, if you're walking on eggshells just to keep him calm, if your faith is weakening under the weight of the relationship, that's not love. That's slow destruction wrapped in romantic language. And if something in your soul is whispering, leave, don't wait for it to start shouting. Your peace is not too much to ask for. Your clarity is not pride. Your boundaries are not rebellion. Love should feel like sunlight, not shadows. Love should pull you toward God, not away from Him. Love should honor who you are, not remake you into someone smaller. Naomi's story is not unique, but her courage to leave is what made the difference. Let her story remind you, you don't need to wait for someone to break you before you believe God is speaking. Sometimes the red flag is quiet. Sometimes it comes with a smile. But always, God will whisper. Will you listen? If this story touched something deep in your heart, don't ignore it. This may be your wake-up call. That relationship, that friendship, that situation, if it's costing you your peace, it's too expensive. Drop a comment below if you've ever experienced a relationship like Naomi's. Or if you're still healing, we see you. God sees you. And you are not alone. Tap like, share, and subscribe to Relationship Wisdom, where we tell stories that help you love smarter, not harder.